Hi everyone, this is Board Games and Bourbon. I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I want to tell you about the School of Sorcery being put out by Dr. Finn Games. It's for 2 players, and it has a really unique mix that I haven't seen before of dice placement, dice manipulation, card play, investment, outwitting the opponent that I haven't seen before. It gave me a real jolt, and that's why I want to share it. So the thrust of the game is you are sorcerers and you are trying to be successful by getting 13 points in the game. And what you're going to do is you are going to roll die. The die will tell you which cards in the market you're vying for. And then you're going to combine that with card play over here that chooses how you're going to invest, how you're going to outwit your opponent through manipulating the dice, and then trying to get the cards that'll either give you an immediate power or a power you can use later on in the game. Every power you can only use once. Ultimately, you're trying to get to 13 points, and it's pretty straightforward. It has fast setup. So, okay, how do we play the game? Well, to set it up, you're going to get 2 permanent powers, each of you. There's a bunch of red bordered cards in the game. You choose 2 each, and then you shuffle the rest into the deck that you can buy later. This, for instance, here is a card that says Magic Gems, and it says I can add 1 crystal to any location, okay, if your opponent has more victory points. Well, that's great. That means that's free money. That's a great power to have. This one over here, Panacea, says take a reroll token. Rerolls are really important. This person over here is something called the Magic Stone, which lets me add a crystal to number 3 and 4 if I have fewer. That's great. This is essentially like a worker doing work for me there. This one over here does the same, except it does it for number 2 and 5. And this is a prototype, by the way. So art rules and stuff like that might change. When I got my demo kit here, it didn't have the number 5 tile. That's okay. I know what comes between 4 and 6, and I think you do too. Okay, now what's going to happen there? We get our 2 cards. We have our little player aids that count not only our scores, but tell us what order to do things. We're going to get a set of cards over here that let us manipulate dice. This over here essentially is one of our cards. We can play these each round as many times as we want over and over and over, but you only assign 3 to each of your 3 die that you roll per round. This is a fake me out. You're investing nothing somewhere. This is really cool because you put, when I roll a 1, for example, and that means I can apply something to buy this number 1 card. It says it requires 2 dice there to win that card. If I were to assign this to this die, and we keep it hidden and then we reveal, it says I would assign 1 crystal to this die. However, this has a flip symbol. The flip symbol means I'm going to turn this over to its other side, which is actually number 6. So I'm going to bring it all the way over here, and this crystal actually goes on the number 6 spot on the card. Okay? That's part of the outwit part of the game that I really love, because your opponent might see that you're both going to be vying for the number 1 card, and they might overinvest and really try to take it. Meanwhile, you didn't care at all. You tighten them up a little bit. You have your crystal over here, and now at that point, you have a backdoor way of putting your crystal on some other card and getting what you really wanted. So I really enjoy that one. This one here says you're going to invest 2 crystals somewhere, gems, stones. I'll use the words interchangeably, and again, you're going to flip. This one here is just straight 2 stones. This one here's 3. This one is a single, and again, that's the blank one. And you're going to have those same things, okay? Put this back here. All right, and lastly, you're going to get some rerolls, 3 rerolls if you don't like what you have. After you place everything, you activate the cards from number 6 backwards, so turn order can matter. Okay, and then there's a very specific way and order in which everything activates. And here it is. This is the handy dandy play sheet. You're going to start the game by taking 5 crystals of your color. Then you're going to cast your stones. You're going to use the portal if you can. Then you're going to activate your permanent powers. And then you're going to see if you want anything, and you are going to use the powers on the cards. The green powers you are going to use instantly. There's cards with yellows, and the yellows, like this one here, oh, look at that, on the first try I got it. You can save it and use it when you wish. All right, and there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a little test around here. The player marker to start the game in this kit is a little wizard hat. I think that's adorable. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 5 crystals. The crystals here are simply in the color of the players. So 5 is going to go to my left hand. That's player number 1. And then these little beautiful green aqua colored ones are going to go to the blue player. And we are going to roll our die. Okay, we're going to roll, and we're going to roll. So what I see here is that I have a 2, a 4, and a 6. Holy moly, a 2, a 4, and a 6. I rolled the same for both hands. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to be fighting there. Now, what I could say to myself is, at this moment, do I want to re-roll? Do I want to change, where I want to invest? Do I want to fight with blue in every single location? 6 is always good. I'm going to spend 1, and I'm going to re-roll my 6. And I got a number 2. I'm gonna do this again, and I'm gonna roll again. A number 1, good. I have 3 investment opportunities, and blue player is gonna stay where they are. So let's take a look at the cards in the market that we're vying for. This one over here, it costs 2 to buy, and let's pull this up for you. This is 2 to buy, the Sword of Victory. Need a margin of 1 point victory, and this will shift an opponent's crystal. Okay, so I get to move. Number 2 is called number 5, the Book of Fate. The opponent must return 1 crystal from their personal supply. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to bring you from 5 down to 4. You can keep crystals lingering from round to round, which is kind of cool. But the problem is there, if you shrink the economy of one of your players, and let's say you play your cards and you played more cards than you can actually afford, your opponent gets to decide which card goes away and what you can't invest in. Or you can play, the friend mode where you just tell the person to correct their investments, okay? Number 3 says here, that's Quimby, 4-2. And this is as many points. You're going to score as many victory points and take as many crystals as you have characters. So right now I have no characters. So this would be really good if I did this later. You want to spend that money later, and then it'll be worth more. So maybe that'll sit on the board. Number 5, the Spear of Destiny. Probably not a pickle spear. Spear of Destiny, 3 points. Use a permanent power shown anywhere. So if I have this, I can activate someone else's card. Awesome sauce. Even active or inactive. The Pennant, number 3, margin of 2, 1 point. Take 1 crystal from each for each character you have. Again, that'll really come in to help later. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do here as an example. Now, these cards here, you're going to kind of keep hidden. And then you're going to reveal them at the same time for each of you. So I have number 1, I can shift an opponent's crystal, which means I can prevent them from winning. And maybe I can catch up later. Like, let's say right here, it's a 4 and a 2. Well, if blue's going to invest and really try to get this out of the gate, maybe what I want to do is I want to move 1 crystal away to keep the margin tighter or something like that to delay their victory. This only takes 2 to win. And I don't see them having any way of getting there, so I'm going to put a 2. I'm going to assign to the number 1 spot this card here that's going to put 2 there. I can also invest in the number 2. That's an expensive card. That's going to require 3. Now, I'm going to play my 3 for the number 2. Okay, that's going to go right there. But now I've committed 2 and 3. That's all of these. I can't commit anymore, which means my number 4, the Spear of Destiny, which is actually probably the coolest one, I'm going to have to play my blank card there if I don't want to run afoul. All right, and that's what I'm going to do. Now it goes to the blue player. Okay, so the blue player has, can invest in 2. That's pretty high. Now, if I played a card in my hand that said flip, like this one here, that 2 becomes a 5, and I could invest and win the Magic Pennant instantly. I also have the 4. The 4 is pretty good, and I have the number 6. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to invest in the number 6 card, and in the number 6 card, I'm going to invest 3. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go here and then see if I can shift it around. Okay, so that's 3. That's 3 of my crystals committed. I only have 2 crystals left. The question is, do I want to invest in here and flip? The 4 would become a 3, and maybe that would help me. That would help me. That would be 3 of the way there. I could invest just straight 2 on a number 4, or onto, do I want to do that? I think I would feel more, I don't want to tie up too many crystals. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I want to put my crystals here and let it sit, because every round I'm going to get 5 more. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take my 4 crystal. I'm going to assign this flip and 2 crystals card there. And again, what that means is I have no crystals left and I don't want to get messed up. So I'm going to take my blank and I'm going to assign that to number 2. Okay, so we have assigned our cards. So we cast our cards. We have rolled our dice. We have assigned a cast card to each. When ready, now we're going to reveal it. Okay, so for number 1, I'm going to turn this over. And it says put 2 crystals. So I have these here. I'm going to put 2 on number 1. Boom. So right now, I'm going to win that card. I both have the 2 crystals met. I have a margin of 1. So far, so good. Number 2, I'm going to flip that over. It says 3 onto number 2. All right, so I'm in the mix. That's good. Number 4, that is 0. Okay, so nothing there. Moving over to me. Let's see here. On my number 2 card, nothing. Well, I'm really behind there. They're probably going to get that one, and that's a big one. That's 3, and I'm trying to get to 13 points, which isn't that far. So you're essentially a fourth of the way there. Number 6 is going to get 3. Okay, well, if this goes here, you know what that means? That means I could just slide it over. Maybe I could tie. I could take those 3 and tie right there. Maybe I could take the lead. I couldn't take the lead, but I could tie it up. So instead of them getting this, if I brought my 3 blue crystals over here, I would have 3. I would have broken that margin and I would have had the lead and I can take that card. There's also the important thing here that says shift a crystal. I might want to do that. That's actually pretty cool and I would have outwitted my left hand. Okay, now this one here for number 4, it says I'm going to rotate it. So my number 4 die is going to become the number 3 and it says place 2 crystals. And so I have 2 crystals on number 3. So I'm in pretty good hands there. Okay, so now that I've done that, the active wizard, who is red, my left, is going to go ahead and do their powers here. It says take 1 reroll token if you have 2 or fewer, and I do. That's why I was so liberal with using my use of them before. It says 1, add 1 crystal to any location if your opponent has more VPs. Unfortunately, we're tied, so I can't use that here. Now we're going to use my powers here, and my powers say add a crystal to location 3 or 4 or 4 if you have fewer. I don't have fewer. I don't have fewer. Over here it says add a crystal to location 2 and 5. Well, I don't have 5, but I do have fewer here, so I can add a crystal. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's just say that's the crystal right there. So I'm already in the running there, okay? Not bad at all. Okay, now we cast, and now we're going to use these. I should have said you're going to take your crystals, cast your crystals, you're going to use the portal. I'm actually going to take my 3, and let's take that back for a second. No, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to take my 3. I'm actually going to cast it here so that I'm in the lead. That was my decision. Now we're going to activate our powers, and now we're going to evaluate. Okay, so that means that we're going to check the location starting from 6 all the way down. Of course, 6 has already been tapped and used, so we're not going to do that. If you win the card, you're going to return the crystals to the general supply, but you keep the margins. Loser of the card takes crystals into the personal supply equal to the margin, and then a player wins by getting 13, and you're going to activate the powers. Okay, so nothing. Now we're going to go here. So there's 2 blue. I haven't won anything there, so that stays on the board. 2 are there. I'm halfway to my goal of 4. On my number 2 card, 3 versus 1, fine. The good thing is my power says later I can add another crystal. So I'll be catching up round after round. We go over here. This is pretty interesting. It says 2. Okay, so I have a 2. All right. I have broken that number. I have a margin of 1. So I'm actually going to win that. So these are going to go here. This power is going to come into my hand. And what this says is, when you get the greens are kind of like instant powers. The yellows can be used later, and it says shift 1 opponent crystal. So I'm actually going to take one of these here, and I'm going to move it over here to this number 1 card. This is the least useful at the moment because it says you take 1 crystal for each character you have, of which they have none. So even if they win it next round, it's not going to really be worth anything, okay? Okay, and then it says the loser of the card takes crystals into their personal supply equal to the margin. So what I won was a 1 pointer. So that means this person over here is going to get 1 into their personal supply. So they're starting at 1. And now what you're going to do is you're kind of going to refill it. And now you're going to start the game again. You're going to see who has the permanent powers. 2 and 2, it's tied. If it's a tie, you switch players. Otherwise, it's the person with the most. And it begins again. Step 1, take 5 crystals. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 goes over here. So now they have a total of 6, so they have more to play with. Now, instead of playing 1 dummy card, now they could actually throw 1 into the mix and really go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, although this person has the benefit of starting first. And there you go. That's how you play the game. I found that really clever. You can really, as smart people, you can switch things around. You can do the portal, come through. A lot of different ways to get what you want. You have to think long term in the case of here, short term, maybe in terms of playing your card powers or getting the crystals to hang over. Here's an example, again, of kind of that power you can pull out at some point in the game. You simply just stop the game and play it. And this says force an opponent to re-roll. Wow, okay. So if I really want to win a card and I don't want them in contention, boom, I'm going to play that one. A lot of fun there. Really excited by it. So if you have questions about the gameplay, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. I'm having a great time with it. This is one I think my wife is really going to enjoy. And I just, that casting, it actually feels like you're casting. So that's the School of Sorcery. I think it's going on Kickstarter soon. I'll try to find out what the cost is. Thumbs up from me. Great job, Dr. Finn. And talk to you later, everyone. Thanks again. Bye.